Hi, this is Grace Park from Korea, and we got the book of the talking eggs. And when the talking egg book is done, I got a surprise for you guys, and I think you guys will love it. And I got a magic trick with that surprise, and let's see it. Da, 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 da. We got the talking eggs. I think the surprise can talk. Dun, the talking eggs. I like eggs. Yeah. The talking eggs. No, don't go. Come. Back in the old days, there was a widow with two daughters named Rose and Blanche. They lived on a farm so poor it looked like the tail end of bad luck. They raised a few chickens, some beans, and a little cotton to get by. Rose, the older sister, was cross and mean and didn't know beans from birds' eggs. Blanche was sweet and kind and sharp as 40 crickets. But their mother liked Rose the best because they were alike as two peas in a pod, bad-tempered, sharp-tongued, and always putting on air. The mother made Blanche do all the work around the places. She had to chop cotton on the afternoon and string beans for supper. While she doing these chores, her mama and sister would sit by side in rocking chairs on the sandy porch, fanning themselves and talking foolish about getting rich and moving to the city where they could go to fancy balls wearing train dresses and lots of jewels. One hot day, the mother sent Blanche to the well to fetch a bucket of water. Then the girl got there. She found an old woman wrapped in a raggy black shawl near fainting with the heat. "Please, child, give me a sip of water," the old woman said. "I'm about to die of thirst." Yes, auntie, said Blanche, reaching out her bucket and dipping up some clean, cool, wet well water. "Drink what you need." "Thank you, child," said the old woman. Then she take shoals after shallow of water. "You got a spirit of do right in your soul. So God is gonna bless you." Then she walked away down the path that led to the deep woods. When Blanche got back to the cabin, her mother and sister hollered at her for taking so long. "This water is too warm. It's near boiling," shouted Rose, and she dumped the bucket out on the porch. "Here your poor sisters near dying for a drop of cool water," her mother screamed, "and you can't even bring her that little thing." Then the two of them scolded and hit Blanche until the frightened girl ran away into the woods. She began to cry since she didn't have anywhere to go, and she was scared to go home. Suddenly, around the bend in the path came the old woman in raggedy black shawl. That when she saw Blanche, she asked kindly, "What made you cry so, you poor child?" "Mama and Sister Rose listened to me for something that wasn't my fault." "Hush, child, stop your crying. You come on home with me. I'll give you supper and a clean bed. But you got to promise you won't laugh at anything you see." Blanche gave her word of honor that she wouldn't laugh. Then the old woman took her by the hand and led her deep into the backwoods. As they walked along the narrow path, bamboo bushes and trees' branches opened wide in front of them. They closed up behind them. Soon they came to the old woman's tumble-down shack. A cow with two heads and horns like corkscrews peered over a fence at Blanche. She didn't say anything, not wanting to hurt the old woman's feelings. Next, she saw that the yard in front of the cabin was filled with chickens of every color. Some were hopping around on one leg, some running about on the 3 or 4 or even more. These chickens didn't cluck but whistled like mockingbirds. But strange as all this way, Blanche stuck by her promise to not to laugh. Then they got inside the cabin. The old woman said, "Light the fire, child, and cook us some supper." So Blanche fetched kindling from the wood pile around the back door. The old woman sat down near the fireplace and took off her hair. Then she planted it into 2 long braids. Blanche got pretty scared when on lighting the fire. After a bit, the old woman put her head back on her shoulder and said, she said, noodling, "That's better." Then she gave Blanche an old beef bone and said, "Put this in the pot for supper." Now Blanche was near starving, and the bone looked like a pretty sad meal for the two of them. But she did what the old woman said. Shall I boil it for soup, Auntie? She asked. Look at the pot, child, the old woman said, laughing. The pot was filled with thick stew bubbling away. Anyway, next the woman gave Blanche only one grain of rice and took her to pour the grain with the heavy stone pestle. In a moment, the mortar was overflowing with rice. Then they had finished supper. The old woman said, It's a fine, moosey night, child. Come at me. They sat themselves down on the back porch steps. After a time, dozens of rabbits came out of the underbrush and formed a circle in the yard. The man rabbits all had folk-tail coats, and the lady rabbits had little train dresses. They danced, standing on their hind feet, hummed along rhythm. Blanche kept time by clapping along. The rabbits did a square dance, a frangola reel, and even a cakewalk. The girl felt so happy she never wanted to leave. She sat down, clapped until she fell asleep. The old woman carried her inside and put her to bed. When Blanche got up the next morning, the old woman told her, Go milk my cow. The girl did what she was told, and the two-headed cow with the curly horns gave her a bucket of the sweetest milk she'd ever tasted. They had it with their morning coffee. You gotta go home now, child, the old woman said to Blanche, who was washing the breakfast dishes. But I tell you, things will be better from her on out. And since you are such a good girl, I got a present for you. Go to the chicken house. Go to the chicken house. Any egg that says, take me, you got a head to take. But if you hear any say, don't take me, you leave them be. Then you get near home, throw those eggs on the left, after another over your left shoulder, so they break in the road behind you. Then you'll get a surprise. When Blanche got to the little chicken house, she found all the nuts filled with eggs. Half were gold or silver or covered with jewels. Half looked no different from the eggs she got from her chicken back home. And the plain eggs told her, take me, and the fancy ones cried, don't take me. She wished she could take just one gold or silver or jewel egg, but she didn't want. The old woman told her one only scoop of the plain eggs. She and the women waved goodbye to each other. Then Blanche went on her way. Part way home, she began to toss the eggs one at a time over her left shoulder. All sort of wonderful things spilled out of those eggs. Now diamonds and rubies, now gold and silver, now pretty silk dresses and dainty satin shoes. There was even a handsome carriage that grew in a wink from a size of a matchbox, and a fine brown and white pony that sprouted from a size of a cricket to draw it. Blanche lured all these lovely things into the carriage and rode the rest of the way home like a grand lady. When she got back to the cabin, her mother and sister just gawked at her new finery. "Where did you get all these things?" her mother asked, making Rose help Blanche carry the treasures inside. That evening the whole spoke, all the time telling Blanche what a sweet daughter she was. Her mama got the girl to tell about the old woman and the cabin in the woods and the talking eggs. When Blanche was asleep, the mother grabbed Rose and told her, "You gotta go to the woods tomorrow morning and find that old auntie. Find dresses and jewels. Then you'll get some of those talking eggs for yours so you can have fine dresses and jewels like your sister. Then you get back, I'll chase Blanche off and keep her things myself. Then we'll go to the city and be fine ladies like we was meant to be. Can we just run her off tonight so I don't have to go poking through the woods looking for some crazy old auntie?" Rose winked. "There's not near enough for two," her mother said, getting angrily. "You did as I say, and do not be so contrary." So the next morning, Rose set out, dragged foot into the woods. She dragged mostly, but soon met the old woman in the raggy black shawl. "My sweet little sister," Blanche told me, "you got a real pretty house and all," said Rose. "I've practical to see it." "You can come with me if you've I mind you," said the old woman, "but you got to promise not to laugh at whatever you see." "I swear," said Rose. So the old woman led her through the bramble bushes and tree branches into the deep woods. But when she got near the cabin, the Rose saw the two-headed cow, the braggily like a mule, and the funny-looking chickens that sang like mockingbirds. She yelled, "If there never was a sight, that's one stupid thing in the world." Then she laughed and laughed until she nearly fell down. Said the old woman, shaking her head. It sighed Rose completely when she was asked to start the fire, and she went up with more smoke than flame. Then the old woman gave her an old bone to put in the pot for supper. Rose said crossly, "That's gonna make a mighty poor meal." She dropped it in the pot. The old boat remained the boat. So they only had this soup for supper. Then the old woman gave her one grain of rice to grate it into the mortar. Rose said, "That speak won't hardly feed a fly." She wouldn't lift up past her, so they had no rice at all. The old woman muttered. Rose went to bed hungrily. All night long she heard mice scratching under the floor and screech owls clawing on the window. In the morning, the old woman told her to milk the cow. Rose did, but she made fun of two-headed creature, and she got was a little sour milk, not fit for drinking. So they had their breakfast, coffee without cream. Then the old woman left her head off her shoulder to brush the hair. Quick as a wink, Rose grabbed that hair and said, "I'm not gonna put you back. Get better till you give me presents like my sister got." A child, "You're a wicked girl," said the old woman's head. "But I got to have my body back, so I'll tell you what to do. Go to the chicken house and take those eggs that say 'take me,' but leave one that cries 'don't take me.' Then you toss those eggs over your right shoulder. When you on your way home, your right shoulder when you're on your way home." To be sure, the old woman wasn't playing her a trick. Rose set the old woman's head out on the porch while her body sat grumbling about the cabin. Then she ran to the chicken house. Inside, all the plain eggs cried, "Take me," while all the gold and silver and jeweled ones said, "Don't take me. You think I'm fool enough to listen to you and pass on the prettiest ones? Not on your life." So she grabbed all the gold and silver and jeweled eggs and kept yelling, "Don't take me," and off she ran into the woods with them. As soon as she was out of sight, the old woman's cabin, she tossed the eggs over her right shoulder, and as fast as she could. But out of the shells came came clouds of whip snakes, toads, frogs, yellow drakes, and a big old gray wolf. These began to chase her like pigs after a pumpkin. Howling, bullying, muttered, Rose ran to her mother's cabin. Then the woman saw a swarm of things chase her daughter. She tried to rescue her with a broom, but she was one wolf, and then all the other creatures wouldn't be chased off. So mother and daughter hybrided into the woods with all the animals following. When they returned home, angry and sore and stung and covered with mud, they found Blanche had gone to the city to live like a grand lady. She remained as kind and generous as always. For the rest of their lives, Rose and her mother tried to find the strange old woman, Kevin, and the talking eggs, but they never could find that place again. The end. It was the talking eggs, and oh no. At the first I said I gotta show you a magic trick, and I got it. We got one little cardboard with eggs, and we got one golden egg that Rose tossed. Now, what do you have to do? Set the egg inside, and now the egg will not disappear and it will go back. And one more. How can the egg be there if I turn it? Look, I turn this egg. I turn the egg, and it's inside it. How can I do it? Look, you got the egg. Look, no. Look, egg in. How can I do it? You can subscribe. You can give a message at the subscribe thingy. And when you know how I did it, can you subscribe it to me? And when I always say it's done, it is time for bye.